Good morning, students. Chapter 10, Neural Control and Coordination. In this chapter, we are going to discuss about the neural system, central nervous system, reflex action and reflex arc, sensory reception and processing. So, neural control and coordination. Students, have you ever wondered how our body functions? Our body maintains a stable condition, that is same condition even when the outside environment changes. Our sensory organs help us to see things around us. For example, our eyes help us to see things around us, our ears help us to hear various sounds, and our internal organs such as heart beats continuously and rhythmically, and air also goes in and out of the lungs. When we get our limbs any hurt, automatically our eyes shed tears. So each cell of the body works in a coordinated manner. How it is coordinated and controlled, or who coordinates and control? The neural system of our body coordinates all the other systems to work together effectively and smoothly. Every second, diverse functions, that is different functions in our body, are performed by the neural system. Day and night, millions of messages passes stimuli through the cells of the neural system to stimulate the heart to beat, kidney to excrete the waste products, and the mouth to release the delicious foods. And also, even more remarkable features of the nervous system is its ability to respond stimuli, that is simultaneously to several stimuli. For instance, we can play piano and sing, we can listen to the music and do household chores. In all such coordinated movements, whether skilled performance or routine tasks like cycling or driving, the integrated power of the neural system is involved. In this chapter, we'll understand how the neural system is organized and how it integrates all the other organs and what kind of cellular events underlie its functions. Neural system. The neural system comprises of highly specialized cells. So, the neural system consists of highly specialized cells called neurons. Neurons means the cells which are present in our neural system or our brain is called as neurons. These neurons will detect, receive, process and transmit different kinds of stimuli. Stimuli means thundal. Simple form of neural system as nerve net is seen in the lower invertebrates. For example, if you take the lower animals such as the earthworm or any other insects, the neural system is present in the form of nerve net, which is a simple form of, that is, neural system. The neural system of higher animals are well developed and performs the following basic functions. Now we'll see the basic functions of the neural system, that is sensory function. It receives the sensory input from the internal and the external environment. That is called as sensory functions. So through our sense organs are eyes, nose, ears, tongue, skin. So through the sensory organs, our body receives the stimuli from the external environment. Next is motor functions. It transmits the motor commands from the brain to the skeletal as well as the muscular system. The brain only gives commands to all other organs to do the functions. The brain mainly gives command to the skeletal system and our muscular system. For example, if our brain gives control to move from one place to another place, this is called as motor functions. Next is autonomic functions, means reflex action. For example, if any dust particles enter into our eyes, automatically our eyelids will get shut. For example, if we touch any hot objects, automatically will withdraw our hands. So all this comes under automatic functions. There are three functional classes of neurons. They are the afferent neurons that take the sensory impulses to the central nervous system from the sensory organs. That is, from the sensory organs, the impulses are carried to the brain. This is the function of the afferent neurons. Next is the efferent neurons that carry motor impulses from the central nervous system to the effector organs. For example, our brain gives command to take a book from the table. This is an example for efferent neurons. Here the impulse are carried from the brain to the organs. Next is the interneurons that lie entirely within the central nervous system between the afferent and the efferent neurons. Central nervous system lacks connective tissue, so the interneuron space is filled with neuroglia. So the central interneuron space is filled with the neuroglia. They perform several functions such as providing nourishment to the surrounding neurons, involving the memory process, repairing the injured tissues due to their dividing and regenerating capacity, and acting as phagocyte cells to engulf the foreign particles at the time of any injury to the brain. So these are the functions of the interneurons. So the interneurons are present between the afferent and the efferent neurons. Next is the central nervous system. That is, the central nervous system includes the brain and the spinal cord. Central nervous system means it includes the brain and the spinal cord. The brain is protected by the bones of the skull, and the spinal cord is protected by the bones of the vertebral column. So spinal cord is present inside the vertebral column and the brain is present inside the skull. During its embryonic development, the central nervous system develops from the ectoderm. That is, the brain as well as the spinal cord develops from the ectodermal layer of the three germ layers. The brain acts as a command and control system. So the brain is called the master. So it is the master of our body because it only controls and gives command to all other organs. It is the site of information processing. So all the informations are processed in the brain, and it is located in the cranial cavity. So the brain is located in the cranial cavity, and the brain has three coverings. The outer covering is called as dura mater, which lines the inner surface of the cranial cavity. So the brain lies in the cranial cavity. The brain is covered by three coverings. Outer covering is called as dura mater, and the middle covering is called as arachnoid mater, and the innermost covering is called as the pia mater. So the brain is divided into three major regions: forebrain, midbrain and hindbrain. So the brain is divided into three main regions. First one is the forebrain, next is the midbrain, and then hindbrain. First we will discuss about the forebrain. It consists of the following regions: cerebrum and diencephalon. So the forebrain consists of cerebrum and diencephalon. Cerebrum is the seat of intelligence. It is called as the seat of intelligence, and it forms the major part of the brain. The cerebrum only forms the major part of the brain. The cerebrum consists of an outer region called as cortex and the inner region called as medulla and basal nuclei. The superficial region of the cerebrum is called as the cerebral cortex, which that is the cerebral cortex looks grey in color due to the presence of unmyelinated nerve cells. Here there is no myelinated neurons, hence it looks grey in color, the cerebral cortex. The cerebral cortex consists of neuronal cell body, dendrites, associated glial and blood vessels. So the cerebral cortex consists of neuronal cell body, dendrites, glial cells and blood vessels. The surface of the cerebrum shows many convolutions, that is folds and grooves. That is folds means many folds are present in our brain. The folds are called as gyri, that is in singular gyrus, and in between the folds grooves are present. அதாவது நமது மூளை வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா மேடு பள்ளமாக இருக்கிறது தான் folds and grooves-ன்றாங்க. The folds are called as gyri and the shallow grooves between the gyri are called as sulci, that is in singular sulcus, and the deep grooves are called as fissures. So these sulci and gyri increase the surface area of the cerebral cortex, and several sulci divide the cerebrum into 8 lobes. So these several sulci divide our cerebrum region into 8 lobes. They are a pair of frontal, a pair of parietals, a pair of temporals and occipital lobes. So these are the 8 lobes which are present in the cerebral cortex. Here you can able to see in this picture, that is the lobes of the cerebral hemisphere, a pair of frontal lobe, a pair of parietal lobe and a pair of temporal lobe and a pair of occipital lobe. The hemispheres, okay, a median longitudinal fissure. So a long median fissure divides the cerebral region into 2 hemispheres. So a median longitudinal fissure divides the cerebrum longitudinally into 2 cerebral hemispheres. A transverse fissure separates the cerebral hemispheres from the cerebellum. The hemispheres are connected by a tract of nerve fibers called as corpus callosum. The cerebral cortex has 3 functional areas, namely sensory area which occurs in the parietal lobe, temporal and occipital lobes of the cortex. So the cerebral cortex has 3 functional areas, namely sensory areas which occurs in the parietal, temporal and occipital lobes of the cortex. They receive and interpret the sensory impulses. Motor area of the cerebral cortex which controls the voluntary muscular movements lies in the posterior part of the frontal lobe. And the areas other than the sensory and the motor areas are called as the association areas that deals with the integrative functions. Integrative functions means memory, communication, we are speaking to one another, we are keeping memory of such things, learning different languages and reasoning, why, what, all this are under the control of the association areas. So inner to the cortex is the, so far we have seen the regions of the cortex. Then inner to the cortex is the medulla, which is white in color and acts as a nerve tract between the cortex and the diencephalon. Next, functions of the brain lobes. For example, frontal lobe. The functions of frontal lobe is behavior, intelligence, memory and movement, and function of parietal lobe is language, reading, sensation. The function of the temporal lobe is speech, hearing, memory, and the function of the occipital lobe is visual processing. Diencephalon consists largely of the following 3 paired structures. Epithalamus forms the roofs of the diencephalon and it is a non-nervous tissue. The anterior part of the epithalamus is vascular and folded to form the anterior choroid plexus. Just behind the choroid plexus, the epithalamus forms a short stalk which ends in a rounded body called as pineal body. So the pineal body is also located in the brain and it secretes a hormone called as melatonin which regulates the sleep and wake cycle. Next is thalamus. Here you can able to see the thalamus, pineal gland, all this in this picture. So thalamus, hypothalamus, hippocampus, all this we are going to learn now. The thalamus is located at the center of the brain, and below that hypothalamus is present. So the thalamus is composed of gray matter which serves as a relay center for the impulses between the spinal cord, brainstem and cerebrum. Within the thalamus, information is sorted and edited and plays a key role in learning and memory. So all the informations are edited and processed in the thalamus region. It is the main coordinating center for sensory and the motor signaling. Next is the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus forms the floor of the diencephalon. The downward extension of the hypothalamus is the infundibulum. This infundibulum connects the hypothalamus with the pituitary gland. So infundibulum is a stalk-like structure which connects the pituitary gland and the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus consists of a pair of small round body called as mammillary bodies that are involved in the olfactory reflexes and emotional responses to odor. Hypothalamus maintains homeostasis and it has many centers which controls the body temperature, urge for eating, drinking. It also contains a group of neurosecretory cells which secretes the hypothalamic hormones. And the hypothalamus acts as the satiety center. Next is the limbic system. The inner part of the cerebral hemisphere constitutes the limbic system. The main components of the limbic system are olfactory bulbs, cingulate gyrus, mammillary body, amygdala, hippocampus and hypothalamus. The limbic system is called as emotional brain because it plays a primary role in the regulation of pleasure, pain, anger, fear, sexual feeling and affection. The hippocampus and the amygdala also plays a role in the memory. So this is about the forebrain. So in this class we have discussed about the forebrain. In the next class we will discuss about the midbrain. So go through this topic. Thank you.